It's now time for me to start seeds indoors, and first of all, I can't do it without Fox Farm. I love the ocean forest. That's what I choose. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now I have to make sure that the soil is nice and moist. You want it to get wet and you want to squeeze it out. You don't want it soaking wet. You want it to be able to clump up in your hands and hold together, but you don't want it too wet where it's like super soggy. So just get in there, mix it up real good. Get all the moisture into the soil so you can get ready to plant. Now this time around, I'm going to do some traditional seed starting in my seed trays, of course. I was going to try soil blocking this year, but I changed my mind. And I'm also going to try this technique I saw videos on last year when you use like the packing foam and roll it. So I'm excited to try that. So I'm just going to pack my seed trays really, really well. In this tray, I'm going to do like lettuces, onions, brassicas, things of that nature. This is going to be my first round of seeds, and I already have a lot to get through, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get started as we speak. Now, here's the foam that I'm talking about. Now, I did have some thinner foam, but I can't find it, so I'm just going to start with the thicker one and just cut it into strips, and then we're going to lay the soil down and we're going to roll it. Now, because I'm experimenting, this is definitely a learning curve, but I struggled in the beginning to get it how I wanted it, but later on you'll see I figured it out. So you just put soil in there. It's about enough soil to fill a seed tray cell, and you spread it out and then you roll it up. If I were using the thinner foam, I probably would make a couple more turns maybe, but this is good enough because I'm planting in these like peppers, tomatoes, so I could save space, and also that the roots will go straight down and not get intertwined like they do in the seed cells. Again, this was definitely a learning curve. I have these cute little plastic pots that I got off of Temu, I think. Right here, I just sat them in there, but when I go back, I'm going to tape them up a little bit to keep them real secure so they don't unravel. Now, you're supposed to like roll it up and put the seeds on the top, which I did for everything except for I wanted to experiment and see what it would be like if I actually put the seeds inside the roll near the top before I rolled it. So I'm going to do that with one of my tomatoes. So as you can see, it's not a whole lot of turns, but it's enough for what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably plant about 5 or 6 seeds in each one. I'm going to start with like my eggplants, tomatoes, and my peppers because I do need to get those started so we can have a longer growing season. I'm in Virginia and I need the longest season as possible once we get out of this frost warning. So after I get everything labeled, I'm just going to drop seeds into the top, and I'm going to leave it slightly uncovered. Some of them I pat down a little bit. Later on, if I need to, I add a little soil at the top, but I just need them right at the top of the soil so that when they start to germinate, the roots will actually start to grow down into the soil, and they'll be easier to unroll, unravel, and pull apart when it's time to pot them later on. Since this is my first time trying it, I'm actually only doing like 5 or 6 seeds per, but I always overplant anyway. So those 5 or 6 seeds, they're probably all going to germinate, and I'm going to end up with 800 tomato plants and 800 pepper plants like I do every single year. After doing it a couple times, this is where I started to hit my stride, but this is the one that I tried, and I put the seeds actually at the top of the dirt before I rolled it. It's the only one that I did that to, and so it's like a little experiment. I'm going to see which one works better because I do want to keep using this roll method for future planning. For one, the foam that they send in your delivery boxes, you don't have to just put that in the landfill. You could just use it for something else. You can just use it over and over again for as long as it can last and hold up. So as you can see, I'm putting it slightly at the top, but where some of the dirt will still cover it when I roll it up. And I'm going to sit this one. Well, I know it's the white beefsteak tomato. If you've never grown those, you probably should. They're amazing. So this is the only one I'm going to do that to. Like, again, it's an experiment. This is my first time trying it. So I'm going to see which way works better for germination and for me going forward. Since the seeds were inside, I rolled it a little bit slower because I didn't want to displace them too much. I wanted to keep them right where I put them. And then again, I put them in my little plastic pot. Now, after doing this a couple times, I said, you know what? I think I got this. And I actually started getting real good at it. I was in there moving fast. You'll see the glove come off and on because I was using the glove to dig in the bucket. I didn't want my hands that filthy. So I used my regular hand just to press them out ungloved. But to actually like dig in the bucket, I had to put my glove on. But it was just so much easier after I got the hang of it. And so, like I said, my pots were a little wide and I wanted to make sure the rolls stayed together. So I just put a little piece of tape on them, set it to the side, toss a little seeds at the top, and then we're done with that part. I took a little break from the rolling and I started to drop like my onion seeds, all my herbs, everything. So I put the soil in. Now remember, it's moist. It's fairly moist, like really, really moist. We just squeeze out some of the water so it holds together. And items like onions and brassicas, all those can easily be separated from a seed tray. So I just throw them all in there. I don't really care how many seeds are in one cell. Some people say they thin them. Some people do. Some people don't. I don't like to thin if I don't have to. And then I'll just put a little bit of wet soil on top. Instead of trying to like make holes and push each seed in, I just toss them on top. I've been doing it for years and it comes out just fine. And then I just cover it just enough, like the instructions say, like it's supposed to be like a quarter of whatever deep. Yeah, I put less soil than that on there. So you can see the seeds there. I just toss them in there, however which way they'll go. All my herbs, things like that, because some of the seeds are like super tiny. I don't have the time to be picking out all these little seeds to put into individual holes when I can just separate them later. I think it's pointless. Some people will disagree with me. That's their business, but it's easier for me. This is my way. I mean, they're labeled. I know what they are, so we'll just go with that. After I add the little extra layer of soil, I just tap it down. Don't put really any pressure on it. I don't want it to be compacted. I still want it to be loose so they can sprout through it. Now here we are back at the rolls. See, your girl got it now. Okay, so I'm actually going to try to find the thinner foam too, because I do want to use that for my second round of seed starting. So there we go. Look at me go. I did it. And I started to leave a little bit at the end so it'll close a lot better. So it was a trial and error situation for me, but I already like this method a whole lot better. For someone who has to start a lot of seeds, and you could put so many individually in one little pot, one little roll, like a little Swiss roll. Space saver. It's amazing. So instead of having all these individual cells, the big cell trays, you can just have the small little swirl. So I had to start my peppers and my tomatoes because I'm in Virginia and we know hot peppers take a lot to germinate. So I wanted to get all those kind of things out the way first. My brassicas, I still have more brassicas to plant. Lettuce, because it is a cool crop and it grows really fast. So if I can get some of that going, even before the frost, I would love to have that happen. Herbs sometimes can take forever. Some don't, but a lot of them do. So I wanted to get those done. I have a lot of medicinal herbs. Tell me what you're growing, because my list keeps growing. Every time I think I'm done, I have to add something else. But if you want to add a whole lot of things to your garden and don't want to keep using all the individual trays, and you have some of this foam laying around, or one of your neighbors from all their packages, I suggest you try it this way. It's so much easier. It does take a little getting used to, but so here we are, all done, ready to go under the lights. I had to fix my setup, so I didn't get to put that in this video, but everything is seeded, and now we're just going to be waiting for germination. Tell me what you think of this method, and do you think you would ever try it? I'm curious.